Bill O'Reilly is, for those who didn't know, an anchor on Fox News, if you can even call it that. He has a long history of reporting lies and fabrications to promote Fox News's twisted right-wing agenda. And he adorns to simply bully and yell over anybody who actually makes sense. Well, as we have all of this controversy surrounding Brian Williams and his exaggeration of his time in the Iraq War, Bill O'Reilly has simply slammed Brian for all of these lies.
Reporting comes with a big responsibility. Founding fathers made that point very clearly. They said to us, we'll give you freedom. We'll protect you from government intrusion. But in return, you, the press, must be honest.
Well, I must say, that is a very powerful statement, Mr. O'Reilly. The media must be held responsible for reporting the truth and only truth, so the people of our society can make informed decisions about their lives. Bill, you are the textbook definition of being a complete and utter hypocrite. Please roll the tape.
Because I was in a situation one time in a war zone in Argentina in the Falklands where my photographer got run down and hit his head and was bleeding from the ear on the concrete, and the army was chasing us. I had to make a decision, and I dragged them off, but at the same time I'm looking around and trying to do my job, but I figured I had to get this guy out of there because that was more important.
Oh, Bill O'Reilly, you're so heroic. Oh, how blessed I am to be receiving my news and information from such a brave and valiant man like you. Oh my God, so let's attack this claim. So you were in the Falkland Islands during the war between the UK and Argentina. You had to save your bleeding photographer in the street while all-out chaos was erupting around you. Gunshots blazing, screaming, explosions, absolute war. The most blatant lie we have seen on television in history. You see, according to CBS, the media outlet Bill O'Reilly was reporting for, at the time, no American journalists were allowed anywhere near the conflict. The United Kingdom took only 30 British journalists with them to accompany the British military to document the war. There were no Latin American reporters, no other European reporters outside the UK, and absolutely no American reporters. And people do not just take my word for it. See, according to the lead news anchor for CBS during the time of this war, Bob Schaefer, nobody from CBS got to the Falklands. I came close, but we've been trying to get somebody down there. It was impossible. So it was, quote, impossible for Mr. Bill O'Reilly to have reached the Falkland Islands, which are 1,400 miles off the coast of Argentina, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. The Argentinian military, according to yet another CBS reporter at the time, was blocking any American reporters from reaching these remote islands off the coast of Argentina. I mean, what? Did you power through the Argentinian military? Did you use the power of your booming voice and rude interruptions to go Hulk smash? No. Well, how did you get on the Falkland Islands? Nobody from CBS was on the Falkland Islands, and according to your 2001 book, The No Spin Zone, you were only in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, which is over 1,500 miles from the Falkland Islands. The most violent time in Argentina, according to your own book, was a protest. Not war, not grenades flying around and mortars exploding. A protest. Well, either everyone at CBS is lying, or you, a 65-year-old yelling, overzealous, arrogant nutjob, you're lying. I'll leave that for you, as my listeners, to choose who is telling the truth. However, let's go back to the first clip we played. Apparently, Bill O'Reilly was in El Salvador, yet another conflict that he was in the heat of violence and chaos and was giving us some hardline coverage on the realities of the world. Yet again, another complete fabrication. In the same book we just mentioned, The No Spin Zone, Bill gave us a very vivid picture of his time in El Salvador. So I'm now quoting from Mother Jones, who published a simply wonderful piece compiling all of this information about Bill O'Reilly's long history of fabrications. So let's continue. Quote, as O'Reilly recalls in the book, he and his crew drove for a full day to reach Morazan province, a quote, dangerous place, and headed to a small village called Miangrera, where a Salvadorian captain claimed Guerras had wiped out the town. Nobody in his right mind will go into the Guerra-controlled town, O'Reilly writes. But he did, and he notes he found a horrific scene. The place was leveled to the ground, and fires were still smoldering. But even though the carnage was obviously recent, we saw no one, alive or dead. There was absolutely nobody around who could tell us what happened. I quickly did a stand-up amid the rubble, and we got the hell out of there. Interesting. That's not very consistent with what you wrote about your time in El Salvador during your actual CBS report that aired on the news.
These days, Salvadoran soldiers appear to be doing more singing than fighting, even here in the Northeast, the heart of rebel country. The Salvadoran Defense Ministry says the government's largest offensive ever has succeeded in scattering the rebel forces, leaving government troops in control of most of the country. To back up this claim, a military helicopter took a CBS News crew on a tour of areas formerly held by the rebels. We saw signs of war, houses destroyed and dead animals, but no signs of insurgent forces. In fact, government soldiers camped out in the open, and bridges destroyed by the rebels are now under repair. This is the town of Miangrera, deep in the Salvadoran mountains, about 20 miles from Honduras. Now, until recently, the rebels held this town and all the area around it. But now, the government soldiers have driven the rebels out of town and into the mountains. The insurgents left behind this. The fighting in Miangrera was intense. The ordeal is reflected in the faces of the people. But that ordeal may not be over for the Salvadoran people. In Washington, a Salvadoran leftist leader who claims contact with the rebels says they are regrouping to hit the cities. If the rebels do attack the cities, the military feels it is ready. That optimism tied largely to the return of more than 600 Salvadoran soldiers trained in the United States. Bill O'Reilly, CBS News, San Salvador.
He said nobody was around, alive or dead. Well, didn't you see plenty of people in O'Reilly's area? You didn't see people walking around? Did you see fires still smoldering? Did you see recent carnage? No, I didn't either. Now you might be saying, who cares? Who cares about Bill O'Reilly lying about coverage in the Falkland Islands or El Salvador? Most of you guys probably hadn't even heard of these two places before this. It matters because of what O'Reilly himself said in the first clip. It is the duty of the media to report the truth and only the truth. If the media reports lies and fabrications and outright propaganda, we cannot make the right decisions in running our society. Bill O'Reilly, he gets millions of viewers every night. Millions of people every day watch this guy's show and get spoon-fed all of this twisted right-wing crap. It is an absolute joke. Especially when these fools are called news, when they're the closest thing to the propaganda wing of the Republican Party. Don't just forget this, people. Tell your friends. Start a hashtag. Let the world know Bill O'Reilly has absolutely lied to the American public. Thank you all for listening to Progressive Talk Daily. Remember to hit the subscribe button, spam that like button, and visit the comment section below. If you want more videos like this one, check out the rest of the channel. And remember to tell your friends and family about PTD. Spread the word. Have a fantastic day.